not if you've heard this story before. You bump into a tech CEO, and he says, we just hired a new VP of sales. Things are going to be great. Came from such and such a company, and he was a rock star. Has this Rolodex, really looking forward to the future, we're really excited. Yeah, a year and a half later, bump into the same tech CEO. So, how did that VP of sales work out? Oh, don't bring that up. He left a couple of months ago. Do you know anybody, though? We're looking again. Call this the talent lottery. And most of us are playing it. Whoops, sorry. Too sensitive. So, many of you saw the Lazaridis report. Probably half of you or more were surveyed for the report, in which 68% of the respondents said that finding sales and marketing talent is a major obstacle to the growth and scaling of technology companies. But there's more to the problem than this. I have a nice thick tome here from Boris Groysberg, a Harvard professor. And what Boris did was he studied the moves of 1,000 analysts and investment banks in Wall Street, and found conclusively that the star performers' performance declined permanently when they made a move. It turns out that the firm they were at really mattered. The general and proprietary resources of that firm that supported success, their culture, Don, from our conversation yesterday, right? Their internal networks and how to harness them, and the support of their colleagues. So the talent lottery is really tough, not just because they're hard to find, but actually, star performers, it's very difficult many times for them to actually transport and bring that success with them to your firm. So the conclusion was that the firms that were doing the best were the ones that grew their own stars, that made it organic, that enabled success internally. We've talked earlier, one of the themes today is around collaboration. So, what I'd like to talk today about is how do we go about doing that? And there's three components. Talent is vitally important. We're not suggesting talent isn't a key to your success. Effectiveness, though, is the ability of that talent to create value with the customer. And finally, efficiency is about how they do the work to maximize getting in front of the right prospects and the right customers. I love a big shout out to Bob's idea, contribution around the sales stack. That all gets very deeply into how you can use technology to enable that efficiency. What I'm going to focus on here, though, is effectiveness. How do we improve effectiveness? But before I do that, I just want to add a little bit more context. Sales today and creating value as a salesperson is harder than it's ever been. Most of us have heard the marketing statistic that says 60 to 70% of the sales process is over before anybody talks to a sales rep. This leaves the sales rep with two options. They can be an order taker, or they can prove to the customer that they belong as a partner, as a trusted advisor. To be that trusted advisor, though, is driven by credibility. The job of a salesperson right out of the gate is to provide a customer with an insight that helps them better understand where they currently are. Because from there, we can begin to map. When we talk, though, today, what do most of us do when we first hire a new salesperson? What's the first thing you do? You show them the product. But insights for the customer don't come from product knowledge. Insights for the customer come from the implications of what the product enables the customer to accomplish. Many years ago, I had a sales manager approach me with a challenge. He said he had taken the time and he had recorded all the questions, he had written out all the questions he asked prospects and had trained his reps to use them. That had almost no effect on the results. The bad news was I wasn't surprised, because it's not the questions that matter, and it's not even the answers. It's the implications of the questions. It's understanding those implications. By understanding those implications, you can give the customer a fresh perspective. And you can help you begin the journey of getting them to understand where it is that they could go. And you start to map out the path of where they are to where they want to go. And then you prove that you're the one to be the partner. So, today we're going to talk about effectiveness in two sides. The first piece we talk about is knowledge, and the second is skills. By knowledge, what we mean is your tribal knowledge. It's your understanding of those implications to the answers the customer gives to the questions. And the second piece is skills, the ability to use that information to create value with the customer and drive the sales process. Where's that information today? Where's your tribal knowledge today? It's inside likely the head of the founder and your longest tenured people, whether they're on the sales side or on the product side. How do you share that today? You probably share it through stories and anecdotes. Salesperson does a call, something happens, and they hear a story of other times that has happened. And you hope that they, one, can understand it, two, can interpret it, and three, can apply it to a future customer. If you're wondering why it takes so long to ramp up salespeople, it's because they have to go through this very inefficient oral tradition to figure out the implications of your solution against what the customer wants to accomplish. So what is your customer trying to do? Write that down. We have to grab that and take that out of people's heads and put it into a process so we can teach new reps, not from the product out to the customer, but from the customer back to the product. And here's how we do it. It's a really simple matrix. The first thing to do is to write down what literally is your customer trying to do. How do they do it now? What are the steps in the process? What are the consequences against what they're trying to do because of how they do it now? And then finally, how does your solution change how they do it to eliminate the consequence and better achieve the what? It's a simple matrix. Interview your key founders, interview your key people. Now, the salesperson can draw a path to what the customer wants and can walk through the changes that need to happen. I loved what was said yesterday by Robert Harris, the idea of the 4-box model. The 4-box model, we could apply that to explore what the objections are that we're going to hear when we're on the sales process. Because sales, the type of sales you're doing is always a change project. Once we've done that, though, if the salespeople don't know how to use that knowledge, don't have the skills to create value using that knowledge, you're nowhere. So that does mean you have to train your reps. And for many of you, you're probably saying, yeah, but training doesn't work. And the problem is we have to get past the idea of the car wash mentality to training. Sending people away to a workshop or a seminar, then they come back to the office and they forget practically everything that they were taught. We have to make it organic. It has to become part of the organization. You have to reinforce. You're talking about training adults and behavior change. And behavior change takes time. You need to create a collaborative environment where salespeople learning that information and applying the skills can practice it, go in the field, bring it back, iterate it, develop some continuous improvement around it. Because if you do that, if you write down your tribal knowledge, make sure your sales team has the requisite skills, create a collaborative learning environment inside of the sales team to share it, practice it, and perfect it. You will create an organization that meets what Groisberg was talking about. It's an organization that enables success of the people it brings in. The critical ingredient is to really understand, I love what was said last night, know what the customer wants to accomplish. Know who you built the solution for. That's how you start to increase the effectiveness of your sales team. Thank you.